Hi, everyone. Welcome to Momarchy. We're so excited for this week. If Hallmark movies were real life, every Christmas would end with a kiss under the mistletoe. But in our guest Luke and Higgs world, love looks a lot more like midnight diaper changes, career juggling, and making it all work. It's beautifully imperfect.
We're so excited about this episode, and we're going to get into why we're interviewing Luke and Haig, a little bit about them. But first, Tanya, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing fine. It's that weird week after Thanksgiving where you're like, are people working? Is it mostly just people pretending to work? What level do I need to be at? And so, really trying to be as productive as possible. But at the same time, it's so hard, especially since it snowed here. It was the first snow yesterday in Colorado. And it's beautiful and wintry outside, but also really slushy and gross.
Yeah, I actually find that the entire month of December is a weird work period. Like, if you are working, it's like, is this person working? Are they not working? How much are we supposed to be working? But also, people are like frantically trying to get a bunch of shit done, both in their personal lives and in their work lives, like over these 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah,
Whatever you're celebrating, like, people are kind of like checked out. I would say, me included. I find it really difficult to work in December.
so hard. It is so hard. But I do know that, well, how are you, Sarah?
Well, Tanya knows I've had a tough week. I'm trying to keep it all together, but our family dog passed away suddenly, so it's been it's been a struggle this week. I'll leave it at that so I don't start crying. But it's definitely just been like, I think I was thinking about it of like, maybe we should have an episode where we talk about like pets in our lives, and they're just so special to us, and yeah, it's just hard.
I think that'd be amazing. And we've talked about that before, having somebody on because, they're pet parents too. And it's just caring for something else in our life. And so, we won't go into it too much right now because I don't want you to get sad, and then I'll get sad and we'll be way off track, but I think that that's an amazing idea, and if anybody out there has any ideas for some great pet parents, we would love to hear about it. Email us at mamarchypodcast@gmail.com.
And we're there for you. Anyone who's like lost a furry friend, it's really tough. So yeah, hang in there.
Yeah. Alright, well, you finally watched All Her Fault.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is like such a uh totally drastically different topic than what we were just
I'm
talking
like,
about.
anyways,
Um,
your
there,
TV habits.
yeah. So this show, not reality TV, so a little bit different than our normal topics when we kind of catch up on what's happening in the Bravo world or the Hulu Secret Lives world. Um, but Tanya, you told me to watch this, and you were so right. You were like, this is very much a commentary on motherhood and how like women are blamed for things unnecessarily, or mostly just because our society has kind of crafted this view of what a woman should be like. Very powerful. It was a thriller, kind of a murder mystery. I do not even not a murder mystery. Really just like a crime thriller.
Yeah.
Very well done. So I won't give away everything that happens, but highly recommend if you're home for the holidays and sick of Love Actually or Hallmark movies, which we'll get into. This is like a really, really well done show.
Yeah, and I think, as you said, it's a thriller. There's obviously a lot of very intense, very dramatic stuff that happens, but I found the just underlying storyline about moms to be so relatable, and that is the part that, like, struck me the hardest was kind of life in between the main plot. Um, they just did it so well, and bravo to whoever wrote that.
Yeah, really, really, really powerful. Okay, well, speaking of things on TV, or now we call it the tube, YouTube, guys, we're launching a YouTube channel. This is actually the first episode that you can watch on YouTube. So you may be watching us right now with our makeupless faces.
Yeah, we did it We're
We
not
forgot.
used to it. We're used to, like, 30-second clips, and today we just really leaned into, I guess, Colorado in our
You we
appearances.
we did, like, I'm wearing a waffle shirt for those people who are just listening, and Tanya's wearing a, like, plaid
Yeah.
flannel,
Yeah, it's a flannel. It
and
is my
I
husband's flannel.
I have been, like, literally crying off and on the last 72 hours, and so I look like shit. So if you are watching us on Spotify or YouTube, no judgment. Please don't judge us, is what I mean. I mean, but
Maybe
this
you'll
is
relate to us. I'm using a new moisturizer. It's causing a lot of face issues. So
oh, no.
we can all just get through this together.
Guess they won't be sponsors for Momarchy. But seriously, welcome to our hallways. I am currently in my hallway and corners of our bedrooms, but you will intimately get to know where we're recording. For those loyal listeners, I've decided to not record at my office anymore because the glass blowing was and the music playing was too intense and unpredictable most days.
It's gonna be a really big day when we have some sort of studio. We'll let you guys know. You'll notice that we're no longer in our homes. But, yeah, okay, so our interview is a little bit longer today, but we do have a couple of political updates that we wanna go through. There is Costco wanting the tariff refund from the government. So Costco is suing the Trump administration for what the tariffs are costing them, and it's incredible. People
Bravo.
MAGA is, like, freaking out. We are going to, I think, probably get a Costco membership because of this. We're, like, I
Oh, I
guess,
love
the
that.
last family without Costco membership. So, finally, I
I
can
can't believe you
join
don't have
something.
one.
I've only been once. It was very overwhelming, but they deserve our membership. So
They do.
they are challenging the legality of new tariffs imposed by the administration under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. And so they are arguing that it does not give the president clear authority to impose sweeping across the board tariffs. And that has typically been a power held by Congress, but we all know that Congress is just kind of taken over by Trump anyways. And so they're not asking for future projections or protections. Sorry, it's for a full on refund. It for tariffs it has already paid. So this is amazing. This is a huge part of corporate America that is pushing back. And like these are the giant moments that we need to make a difference and for people to see like, oh yeah, this is actually impacting everybody. So bravo, Costco.
Yeah, let's fucking go Costco. My husband just got home from Costco.
Yeah.
Tanya, I'll send you and Jason like a list of things that we love from Costco that have now become like regular items in our home. But I know in our last episode, we or 2 episodes ago, we talked a little about like Target and Home Depot and some of these large corporations that people are protesting on, but like this is a great example of a huge corporation, billionaire company, billion
Trillion?
that
Billion?
I
Yeah.
don't know,
I don't know.
that is like doing the right thing. And like I think it's so powerful and especially when everyone's the holiday season when like people are worried about their pocketbooks, like good on you, Costco. I did look through some of the social media that's going on both sides. It's insane. I mean, come on. Like people that even if you like Trump, you have to agree that the tariffs are bad for the economy. Like it just is like make it make sense.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is that Costco doing this, like, it's also a business decision. This isn't Costco pushing back on like DEI reform or something in terms of HR. Like, this is 100% has to do with business. And people need to recognize that Trump is hurting the economy. This isn't something where he's quote unquote just hurting people. Like he's taking away your health care. He's literally deporting people who are hard workers and have committed no crimes. And while all this is happening, these tariffs are making prices skyrocket. And so, like, corporations across the board, I hope, look at Costco and maybe this was like the first domino to fall. Who knows? Maybe the only domino, but at least Costco's doing it.
Yeah, good on them. In other news, Tanya just found out about this. I'm excited to kind of tell her in real time and get her reaction. So, a recent interview on Katie Miller's newish podcast. Katie Miller is a or the wife of Stephen Miller, Deputy Chief of Staff for Donald Trump. She is also or was a communications executive. She was pretty high up in the Trump administration the first term. Anyway, she is a mom. She started a podcast similar to ours. Similar, I wouldn't even say vibe. Like,
No, that everybody should go watch her, like, quote, unquote, "launch" because Sarah and I did, and we were like, "Oh my god, we're so different," because it's her, like, crossed-legged with stiletto heels on in a really nice chair in, like, a beautiful room being like, "I wanna be relatable to moms." And
fully produced.
I
And we're
know,
just like, in our waffle shirts
I
and
know.
flannels, making it work. Anyway, we kind of joke she's our arch nemesis. She is not. We talk about very different things. She's a very traditional Christian conservative person.
Well, but she's Jewish.
Oh, she's Jewish. That's right.
Shock value. Shocking
That
all around.
yeah, that is anyway, we can get into that
Yeah, we don't love her as the tribe. I'm gonna make a blanket statement.
as the tribe. Yeah, so anyway, we've been following her podcast a little bit. She has interviewed people like JD Vance. Who else has she interviewed?
It was JD Vance and why do I think Chuck Norris? Hold on.
Some, like, random people, but recently, she interviewed Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, and his wife, Kelly Johnson, and what came up in this interview is making headlines. So, we're not actually telling you to go listen to Katie Miller because we don't want her to get more downloads. Listen to us. But we will give you the synopsis and the clip notes here. So, they argue that men and women have distinct ways of thinking. Kelly, Mike's wife, said that men's brains are like waffles and they're organized into little compartments, allowing men to think about one thing at a time and even to turn off parts of their brain when necessary. But women's brains are like spaghetti and they're super fucked up. They didn't use those words. Those were mine. But this is a quote that
But they did use spaghetti, right?
they did use the word spaghetti and they said, implying thoughts like the meatballs, the pasta, the sauce, the oregano, implying women think about so many things at once and internalize emotions, unable to compartmentalize in the same way as men and like be able to do a bunch of things in an effective way. It's so insane. Like I can't. So at one point, Speaker Johnson joked that he had his quote feelings surgically removed back in the 80s, claiming that he doesn't get emotionally overwhelmed anymore, which is also like fucked up because this is an issue with the patriarchy and men in general. Like it's okay to like have emotions. Anyway, it's crazy. We thought it would be interesting. I would say it's not really a political update, but they are political. Mike Johnson is a political figure and it has to do with like men and women. So I thought it was interesting. Tanya, your thoughts?
It's really interesting. I'm so mad and confused about this all. So, one, the food that she chose are not even like comparable. And maybe that's the point, but I just don't get the waffles and the spaghetti. So, first of all, spaghetti is a with the meatballs and the sauce are a beautiful combination. So, that should
Do you think they just watched Elf? Have you seen that movie? You know how
yeah, of
he
course
has
I have.
pancakes and he puts the spaghetti on the pancakes or something
He
with the
puts
maple
the
syrup?
syrup on the he puts some syrup on the spaghetti. Yes.
Maybe they had just watched Elf and it was just like the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah, that maybe. That could actually be a great idea, and I just, like, wanna know how a man turns his brain off and thinks that it sounds like they almost think that it's a scientific thing and that they're, like, being super insightful with figuring this all out and how women were just unable to figure this out, like, we're all over the place," when, like, really, I think that everybody has so much going on at the same time, and I think that, I don't wanna say especially women, but women and moms have and parents, everybody has so much going on at the same time that, like, sometimes you can't compartmentalize, but at the same time, you have to function as a person and keep going and do a good job. So, like, this is just wild. And yeah, that's ridiculous that Mike Johnson considers basically saying he's a male, he doesn't have emotions. That's what it takes. Maybe, this mentality is why it's so easy for him to not have a backbone, and that's what he means instead of not having emotions. He, like, got them conflated. But,
Yeah, that's our hot take for the that is 100%. I love that. He doesn't have a backbone.
oh, god, that's so gross. They're so gross.
Yeah.
And I know on a future episode, we're gonna talk about some Erica Kirk stuff that has been going on because that's kind of in the same vein. But that's that's a cool thing in the future.
Look forward to it. Tune into our next episode. And then also just if for those listeners that listened to our last episode about the Epstein files, no update yet. The DOJ has to release the files by December 19th. So we're waiting.
Yay. Or not. It's it's gonna be a lot. But Sarah, do you wanna kick us off with our Luke and Hig intro?
Yes, we are so, so excited. We have a lot of firsts in this episode. So it's our first YouTube episode, as we already said, our first time interviewing family members, the first time having dads on the podcast. Thanks to popular demand, we have had a lot of listeners ask us to talk to dads because parenting is really hard. It's really complicated in the chaotic world that we live in. And no matter what your family looks like, it could be two moms, two dads, you're a single parent, whatever it is, it's all hard. And we want to make sure that Momarchy is a place for everyone. We realize we are momarchy, but we are for parents. We are for everyone. We are for people just trying to get by and make sense of the world. So we're really excited to have Hig and Luke on today.
So, for those that don't know Luke Macfarlane and Hig Roberts, they are an accomplished Hollywood actor and a retired professional skier, and they have a baby. So, they are achieving the family Christmas card that we have all seen, but
Or we haven't seen.
I know, depending on where you are, you have or have not seen, but they do break it down and talk about real life and politics that just don't make sense. So even this beautiful couple with their beautiful child, you know, you see Luke literally in these perfect Hallmark movies, like talking about real life.
So Luke McFarlane and Hig are my brother-in-laws. We'll get more into this in the podcast. So we're just so thrilled to welcome them onto the show. Luke hails from Ontario, Canada, is a graduate of Juilliard, and is an accomplished stage, television, and film actor. You may have seen him on the ABC hit show Brothers and Sisters, in the critically acclaimed movie Bros, or recently the hit Apple TV show Platonic, which is streaming now. So if you haven't checked it out, another awesome holiday show to binge. Season 2 just came out. But I know that a ton of our listeners, including my mom, know him very well from his work in many Hallmark Christmas movies. So we're so excited to get into parenting, into holiday stuff, all the craziness that happens around the holidays and expectations, and just introduced our listeners to two amazing people that are going through the struggle with all of us.
Yeah. So have to give a quick shout out to my mother-in-law, Kathy, because she also is a big Hallmark Christmas movie fan. And it's just really excited that we can have somebody on that our families are excited to listen to. Not that they're not everybody else, but this is a cool new thing. And Haig is from Steamboat, Colorado. He is an NCAA champion ski racer, a U.S. national alpine champion, and a former member of the U.S. ski team. So he's like top of the top. If you don't know about Steamboat, Colorado, I think it has the number one,
Most Olympians.
yeah, most
Yeah.
Olympians from any town in the world. So Hig, fantastic skier, literally one of the best skiers in the world. So he's a recent graduate of the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School of Business and experience working in both the financial service industry and as a sports agent. And of course, is Sarah's brother-in-law. So get your wine, get your eggnog, malt cocktail, wild wine. I don't know. I like not a holiday cocktail expert. But you can also get your spiced cocoa, and let's get into it.
Luke and Hig, welcome to the show. We are so excited to have you both on today. It's a show of a lot of firsts. So, first family members, first men, backed by popular demand. We have had a lot of listeners ask to hear from same sex couples and, in particular, men. So, we figured who better to welcome on to Momarchy Nation, and our listeners across the globe than you two. Even though we are the quote unquote momarchy, we are also for dads and for parents everywhere, just struggling through the chaos of the everyday and trying to make things work. So we're so excited to have you on.
And we know both of you have done so much in your lives and careers, but for our listeners who don't know the Luke and Hig, like we know, primarily Sarah knows, we wanted to give them a little bit of glimpse into your lives a little bit off of the Wikipedia pages. So we're going to do some rapid fire. Are you ready?
Okay, right off the bat, I'm already nervous because who edits these things? I do. I apparently, right off the bat,
Some fishy knowledge.
I play the trumpet, according to Wikipedia, and I do not play the trumpet. So right off the bat,
That won't come up in the rapid fire.
Miles is in Aqua 6, which is fine,
it is interesting.
but I spent a lot of my time being really short growing up, so I'm offended by that. But
I think this is for a later discussion, but hey, before I met him, there was so much about him being small. And I think it was the way that he described himself, being like the smallest guy on the ski team, that when I met him, I was like, I almost expect you to meet like a little person because he talked about it so much. And I think that that's an interesting thing in and of itself, how it is we describe ourselves to the world. You know, there is something in there that we have to be quite careful about.
I'm thinking about something. I will censor myself. Hig probably knows what I'm about to say. And for our listeners who are loyal listeners, a lot of you are, thank you. Know Dylan a little bit. He has not been on the show, but Hig is my husband Dylan's brother. And so anyway, we can get into that at a later time. But I digress. Are you guys ready for the rapid fire?
All right, cool. Number one, who changes more diapers?
that's gotta be 50-50.
50-50. 50-50, but I gag.
Yeah, that's true. But you've gotten a lot better.
We've gotten a lot better, but so have the poops. That happens. That's something that you can look forward to as your child ages.
And I kind of sometimes enjoy hearing it because so I let him maybe do some of the messy diapers.
Yeah.
That's fair. I think that it's the same in my household. Which one of you is the fun parent and which one of you is more on schedule?
Oh,
I think Hig is more of the fun parent.
yes. Mostly because if it's a binary between fun and on time, I'm definitely the fun one. Less so, this guy is timely.
Yes, I
Likes the schedule.
I do.
And Hig, you have, I won't make you do it for our listeners, but you have like a lot of different fun voices.
Yes, that pretty much sums up my funness with our daughter and our dogs and any cute thing that I encounter in the world.
It is fascinating to hear your 2.5-year-old try to mimic,
Oh yeah,
which Hig does constantly.
and then also be like, I'm better than a 2-year-old at these weird noises. Like that's a win.
Put that on your Wikipedia page.
Yeah, put that on it. Okay, Christmas music before Thanksgiving, acceptable or criminal?
Totally
Totally fine.
Totally good.
Embrace it.
I mean, Countdown to Christmas on the Hallmark channel, which I'm sure we'll get into later, begins, I think, right after Easter. I'm being sarcastic, but yeah.
Is that because, like, it serves you professionally, though, for people to get into the Christmas mood, or before were you very pro-Christmas music?
I think the market is only supplying what the market wants. I think people want that feeling. People want that feeling. And so do I sometimes.
Okay, more likely to start a political debate at dinner.
I mean, there is a famous story about Hig and my family getting into it about a certain owner of a electric car company.
Over at Christmas. Not the best platform.
Not the best platform. They got very heated.
But
I don't know if
it wasn't very heated. It was an interesting take that and a new sort of experience with your family that we all got better from. You believe that?
That's such a nice way to put it, Hig. You're a perfect fit for the pod. We like to try to have civil discourse.
Well, I mean, exactly. It was kind of like, when someone says something, and especially with like in-laws, right? Sarah knows this very well. And like, you haven't really gone there with them yet in terms of exploring why they feel that way or sort of why you might feel a certain way. And when the opportunity presented itself, like, I certainly was like, I felt that like anxiety in my throat of like, should I say this? Is this going to be productive? Is this sort of where I feel comfortable in a relationship with these people, especially on Christmas? And it was, yeah, it was a little scary, but you get better from those sort of things. So,
by the way,
and I think in general, you do like,
I like to get into
you really like to learn. You're very curious about why people think certain ways and why they do what they do. So I would say you definitely, whether it gets political or not, maybe it doesn't start out that way, but I think you definitely, you get to that with people a lot more.
Okay, I think I know the answer to this one, but I had to put it in here because Hig. Who secretly thinks they could win Survivor Parenting Edition?
I love Survivor. Like,
I
true.
know you do.
We could talk this entire pod about Survivor and somehow relate it to very pertinent things about life. Like Jeff Probst, honestly, like he's a legend.
He is a legend.
But like, okay, Survivor parenting though, that's a unique take. I think I'll last outplay. Gosh,
Are you competing with other parents?
I was gonna say, for this, is everybody on an island? Like, are you on an island with children, or is it just day to day, like the most intense parent challenges?
and like, are the children voting for the parents to get off the island? It's essentially who's the cool dad, the fun dad. I think.
No, it's not. I also can you imagine if you had like a teenage child and a baby and you're both trying to compete and you're like just trying to keep this baby alive? You're like, no more coconut milk. The baby is starved.
I think it's whatever your mind kind of goes on Parent Edition.
It needs to be just stated clearly, Hig is a gigantic fan of Survivor, as I think is the entire Roberts family. This was something that they really enjoyed watching TV together. So he's brought me into the Survivor.
We love it.
Community. And it's actually very funny. Very early on, speaking of podcasts, we were at, who's Pod Save America? Jonathan Levitz. We were at Jonathan Levitz for a party, and I started chatting with this guy who I know, Nico, and I met his partner who I was enjoying chatting with very much, and Hig uncharacteristically got quite quiet. And I was like, oh, they were that's a nice couple. And then like Hig was like, do you know who that was? And I was like, I don't. Who was that? And who was it?
So it was Zeke, who is
From Survivor.
and he had probably one of the most like, honestly, I would say not just in Survivor, but reality TV, like a very incredible moment. Really horrific the way that it came about and not acceptable, but provoked a healthy conversation that Jeff led about the trans community and a contestant being outed live at tribal council by another contestant. Very intense, but also like one of the more moving things. And I remember I actually did see this before I had publicly come out to the world, and it was a very, I mean, it's when Survivor like becomes more than just this show, like it was very special. So anyways, he was there, and I mean, there was like 8 Survivor players there, which I was like, oh yeah.
The big.
And a girl I went to school with at Middlebury undergrad, she was a year above me. She went on Survivor right after she graduated, and she actually won. Sophie Clark, season 23, South Pacific, if you guys are curious.
If you're curious, everyone.
Really, really weird season of Survivor, but if you're a diehard, you really can get into the weirdness of it. But yeah, it's fun to think about.
But just going back to Jeff on that episode, Hig had we were watching the show a lot, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, it's interesting." But the moment I saw Jeff so instinctively do the correct thing when this contestant was outed was so moving, and it was just this testament to the values that he, I think, as a leader has built into him, and it truly was a moment I was like, "Oh, Jeff is like the real deal. It's not phony." He saw the situation unplayed, someone said something really inappropriate, and he did the right thing. And it was like, "Oh, let's talk about politics. That's the way I want politicians to function."
But the thing is, like, yes, politics, there's political sort of undertones of it, right? Based off of like how you think certain groups of people feel about these issues. But like that's kind of one of the things about Survivor I find really interesting is you actually strip down. It's not about, you're not gonna last together as a group in on the game show or in general if you're just categorizing each other and sort of making judgments on one another about just a certain part of who you are. Like it's not a sustainable way to live and grow connections and just like treat humans overall. I think that's like, I mean, a sort of lesson about everyday life of moving forward. Like you never know what people are going through, right? You never know the full story there. So let people extract that from people and give them the platform to trust you to tell you their story and
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
So, well, I'm really worried that this is about to break Higgs' heart, but is Jeff the host?
Jeff Probst.
Oh, Tanya.
Good guess. Uncle Jeff.
Uncle Jeff. Okay.
You don't watch Survivor?
he's probably like one of the wealthiest people in TV, only because the show is going on 50 seasons. So, and it's like just, I mean, a stalwart. I think it like upholds CBS's like cable programming in this weird day of streaming.
And he very early on said, "I would like to be a producer."
Oh, wow.
Smart of Jeff.
Yeah.
Very smart. Okay, that was that was not a rapid fire response, but it was a worthwhile conversation. Love it. We have one more and then we'll move on. Paw Patrol or Bluey? And be honest about which one.
Blue, there's no question.
Here, let's answer that at the same time. Ask the question one more time.
Paw Patrol or Bluey?
Bluey.
Love it. Okay, moving on. Thank you. You survived a rapid fire. So, obviously, you're a gay couple bringing a child into the world for a straight couple, a queer couple. It's all personal, it's all really hard, and everyone's journey is very different. So, what advice could you share with our listeners on your journey?
Oof. Gosh, where to begin? Where to begin? I mean, the journey of, Tess really began with, and this is different. Well, maybe it's not so different for a queer couple, but the choice is compounded constantly, whether you're using surrogacy or adoption, you keep asking yourself the question, do I want to do this? Do I want to do this? Do I want to do this?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm naive about the way straight couples have babies and they come into the world, but I imagine somebody waking up and going like, we're pregnant. The journey to, oh, we're pregnant is very, very different for us. So in a way, what I can say that is unique about a queer couple bringing a baby into the world is that you are constantly making the decision that this is what you want to do. And we can talk about this later, but talking about children's healthy outcomes, I think that one of the advantages of being able to continually ask yourself if you want to have this child is that you know as much as you possibly can if you're ready to be a parent. And again, healthy outcomes for kids, I'm certain one of the things that's most important is that parents want to be parents. And we got the opportunity to go, I want to be a parent, like a good 24 times before Tess came into the world.
So, how did you know that you were ready to be a parent? Was there like some sort of moment where you both kind of knew? Did one bring it up before the other? What was that like?
Very early on in dating, we both knew we wanted to be parents. It was something that we expressed. We talked about our families a lot. So I knew we wanted to, and I knew that we had the possibility in 2022 to do that. I think on some level it was trying to recreate a healthy, happy childhood that I had. So I don't know. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I mean, I think just when I guess, realized I was gay, or it was probably more a feeling of different, was, like, super early in my life. Like, I can trace it back to, 5, 6, 7 years old of like, my life, I think, might turn out a little bit differently than the kids, my teammates on my soccer team or my ski teammates, things like that. Not really knowing what that was, but I think to Luke's point, and Sarah knows this, like, I come from a very close family, a large family, not just immediately, but we have lots of cousins, and, my family has also gone through a lot of difficult times, losing members of families and tragedy, things like that. And when I realized that I was gay, and probably around the age of 12 or 13, like, starting to really identify that, one of the things I first sort of reckoned with, and honestly probably grieved a bit in a way, was how am I want to be a father. I want a family. And I know that, how do gay men have kids? And growing up in a small town with obviously a lot of privilege, and I think it's changed a lot, but I didn't have any examples of same-sex couples at all, or knew any. Like, just truly didn't know. I didn't know any gay people, like, at all, let alone same-sex couples that had kids. So I really wrestled with, oh my gosh, I don't know how I can achieve this kind of guiding principle goal I've had my entire life of being a father. So it's something, you kind of learn to bury a little bit, or sort of wrestle with. And then you meet, someone else who's thinking about it that way. And again, like, it's sort of all the steps in it, and just sort of the timing and resources and things, you know, it comes from a really deep place, I think, when you do sort of align and coordinate on this. I mean, for me, it just was always like, I will find a way. I can't not, do this in my life.
I think that's beautiful, and I think a lot of people, and you probably both know this, but, like, need to hear that, like, validation that other people have gone through this and figuring out, like, what their path is and what their journey is to parenthood. I think can probably feel really scary and have a lot of questions if you don't look like the cookie cutter male female heterosexual couple, right? And I think we've gotten a lot of questions from listeners about that. So thank you. I think that's really powerful.
I do want to share one
Yeah,
thing
please.
that Tanya sort of try to be as direct as possible when answering that question. So I have this very specific story where someone very, very close to me who had two children found out they were pregnant with a third. And they said, I don't think we're going to keep that child. And I asked them if I could have that child. And that was the moment that I knew I was ready to be a parent.
Totally.
Specifically.
Was there a moment where it felt like, and probably when Tess was here, right, in the world, like, oh shit, like we're actually parents now. Like, what happens next?
Yeah, I mean, we got launched into it pretty, Tess, we spent some time in the NICU, about a month following her birth, and it felt so raw and surreal. And I think, similar to our personalities, we handled it a little bit differently at the initial stages. But I can tell you, knowing Tess was going to be okay, and each day that we were there, and sort of being reassured by that, and having each other through it, and seeing this little girl laying there, and already seeing her personality, things like that, and just deep down knowing it was going to be okay. There's a lot to be grateful from that sort of experience of being in sort of a danger position right off the bat. And my mother, good old Lulu, who truly, fought for her life and our lives with myself and my twin sister. Fun fact, Luke and I are both twins,
We both have twins.
which is a really unique sort of dynamic of this all. But I remember my mom telling me, my sister and I were obviously in the NICU for quite some time as well, being early, premature, and her saying, NICU babies are tough, and you're going to learn so much and be so ready and prepared when you get home and everything is safe, and, Tess is healthy. And I could not have agreed more. That was the silver lining of it all. And I will say, like, but when we got home that first night, and my sister, my twin, came out and was watching after the dogs, and she came down to San Diego and helped us get home. We remember we got home, we changed her diaper in a Target parking lot, like, in Orange County, just being like, "Okay," and I ran in to get formula,
Yeah.
and I was like, honestly, I remember there was another mom there shopping with her little kid, and it was this funny feeling of like, "Holy shit, I'm in the Target
Fine.
in Orange County buying formula," and, like,
They're unlocking the case.
I'm looking at the, like, medical note, still so fresh, and, like, is this the right one? Like, triple checking, quadruple checking, and then we get out to I get out to the parking lot, and Luke and my sister Cassidy, Tessa's on the truck bed, and they're changing her diaper, and, I just was like, "Whoa,"
Yeah.
and then being like, "What are we gonna do for dinner?" It just, like, those little things, it's a little moments of, like, "Whoa."
But now I'm like, my whoa experience is like, I was at the grocery store yesterday with Tess, and I walk past the baby formula, and I go, "Oh,
Yeah.
remember baby formula?"
Yeah.
No food on the ground and no food. But I also like answering that question. Like, I think so much of life is this my life now? Like, so like, am I a parent now?
Yeah.
Is a question I ask myself all the time. And it's little things all the time. I was like, remember when we used to sleep in? So I feel like I'm constantly pinching myself and being the moment of when you become a parent. Like, I don't know if I can really point it every single day. I'm surprised that this is my life now.
Oh, yeah, or, like, shuddering. I, like, shot awake the other night, like, last week, and I was like, "Potty training, potty training."
Yeah.
Like, I need to get on I need to get my computer right now, ChatGPT, let's rip this thing up. What are we gonna do? A plan together,
Yeah.
but in my mind, like, that's the struggle is, like, being a pretty intense person that likes to obviously athlete background, like, I like to train and follow steps and processes, and I like to think tests, but I can approach that in that way with her, but it's not that way all the time. And so, like, these little things where you're like, all right, how are we going to tackle that? Like, huge part of having a kid, the potty training, figuring out what schools they're going to go to, figure out who your friends are going to be with as a parent. It's like, how you talk about being I think I always see, in my professional life, talking about being a parent and, an industry where I think that's not valued as much. So, yeah, it's all a day-to-day thing.
So you kind of talked about this a little bit earlier when you brought up the journey of discovering when you wanted to become a parent. And it was really interesting because, always have known and recognized that it is a different journey for everybody when you start to try to have a child. But I never thought about the lead up to that and like the thinking of, is this even going to be possible? Like, what steps am I going to take for this? And just how, you know, different it can be from really the onset. And we just wanted to know, have you noticed that the world treats you differently as gay dads, for better or worse? And how do you handle it with Tess? What do you say to her? Is there anything that you talk to her about?
Well, in truth, we haven't really gotten there yet because she's 2.5. So the full understanding. It is interesting that, Sarah, I'm sure you'll experience this over Christmas. If Tess hears Teddy call you mama,
Mhm.
she'll call you mama,
Yeah.
which is, normal and interesting. I think it's definitely gonna be, books are gonna be read, and we're gonna figure out that conversation at that time. As far as like specific things that happen, Hig got us involved in soccer. So we're doing
Oh,
soccer.
yeah. See,
And
that process.
he's got that process. And it's great.
Train.
And I really love everybody involved. And it's such a great,
Shout out to LA Galaxy.
yeah.
Good.
Seriously, like they do a fantastic job. The coaches are great. The facilities are wonderful. Super eclectic group of parents. We're doing the parachute game. And the coach always says, okay, everybody go back to your mom and dad. And like, so not a big deal. Like, so not a big deal. No part of me goes like, how dare they? How dare they? They must learn. And I think sometimes there's this like sort of right-wing conservative that like these queer people are marching around demanding that we be called certain things. And to me, it's just interesting. I think we all had this opportunity when like they know that there's two dads doing the parachute. And the connection that we hopefully get better at is like, oh, if I changed my language just as like a person, it could make your worldview a little bit, I don't know, different. Like, it's, I guess I just like, it's very small things like that. And they never truly bother me. It's not about being bothered. It's more about being disappointed that people don't take the opportunity to be more curious about what's happening around them immediately. The number of times I'm just with Tess and some other dad will come up to me and be like, the miss is giving you the day off. And again, I'm not disappointed. Like, I don't shame.
Oh, that's yeah.
No, and I don't shame that. I mean, that's a complicated thing on so many levels, but Sarah, you would be amazed how often people say that to me.
And it's yeah,
Amazed.
Wow.
And it's again, it doesn't bother me. It just goes like, "Oh, you don't realize how much richer and complicated the world actually is." You know? You are just seeing things in the simplest possible way.
it's such a big question actually, and probably I think through Tess. I mean, I could talk about this. I could honestly like write a novel about this question because I think it is truly probably what is helping me understand myself the best, and also wrestle with some of the like honestly the shame and the struggle I still feel about being a gay man, and the sort of the hard years I went through trying to deny this part of myself and feel. I mean, I was scared of myself. I was scared of my community, and I think having this daughter, and especially like we brought on an airplane together, like two dads, or in certain environments where it's clear, like we're Dada and Papa.
There's two brothers traveling with their niece. And you can't get away from
Did someone say that?
No,
Di Okay,
I'll
like, oh,
really important, like a story here, and it relates, like it's right off the bat, and it relates to just kind of like I think it's really pertinent to like politics, and also just like the states we live in and how things are different and set up. And I will say, like I'm a Coloradan, right? In an incredible state where lots of progressive ideas and people are, and I really feel like in so many ways it's becoming very close to what California feels like. But California, it can be kind of quite a bubble in terms of, and for really good reasons for people like us. There are a lot of other same-sex couples. At daycare we see, there's several other gay men raising kids. But that I was about day 4 in the NICU, something really, really interesting happened where it really sort of rocked me into this like, Hig, you gotta like to the point of me still feeling kind of shaming. Sometimes, being able to be straight passing or just sort of be like, I don't need to, I don't have to wear my sexuality on my sleeve, or it's not something I have to focus on. I was going to check into the NICU after Tess was, like you have to come in and out when nurses are shifting around, and we were staying in the Ronald McDonald House next door. So walking back over, I go to check in the NICU, and the lady at the front desk, she asked me, she goes, "Oh, I don't see your wife on the sort of admit list. Do you want to add her?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't have a wife." And I could tell immediately she was like, "Oh my God. Oh, I'm so sorry." I was like, "What?" My partner, his name is Luke. He we'll have to add him when he comes back. And I could tell, and it was like an honor, again, like not holding against her, but the man behind me, he was about 10 feet behind me. He heard this conversation going. And he goes, excuse, like completely interrupting and budging in, and sort of like a breach of privacy, honestly, a hospital of all places. He goes, "What? What did I just say? You don't have a wife?" And I was like, "No, I don't." And it was, again, this, I will never forget that feeling. I'm not good with confrontation. Honestly, I'm really,
I think
my anxiety hits. I have issues sort of being clear with people when I'm in those moments. And I just remember being like, whoa, this is happening right now. And I said, "Does that bother you?" And he goes, uh, I mean, it's not what I was expecting. And I was just like,
just this random person.
random person. So and the ironic thing is he was a grandfather of another kid who is at the NICU. So here we are, of all places, where our babies are not doing as like the most precious things to us, and the compassion and empathy is not there in that hospital line. was bonkers to me. And again, like, I didn't lose sleep over this guy, but the lady at the check-in lady, and bless her heart, she felt so bad, and she's like, "I am so sorry this happened," and she literally even said, like, Tess was born in June, she goes, "We support same-sex couples," and she goes, Happy Pride," and I was like, "No." I was like, I love the girl, but no. It was so actually wild, and he was huffing and puffing, and his wife came in and stepped in between, because honestly, he got closer, and I could feel this energy of, like, he wanted to sort of go at this, and I was just like, "I need to go see my daughter, like, what is happening?"
Unbelievable.
This turned into a whole thing with the hospital. I had the social workers came to the table, the CEO of the hospital came to our room the next day, and it apologized and asked me basically, and the lawyer came. They were worried about sort of the ramifications of what I would bring to this, and I honestly had to tell them, "I really appreciate that you wanna try to and fix this. I think this is a lesson, like, medical documents maybe need to be changed to include male and male, so, like, we don't have to cross out wife and then put in father number 2." That seems like a pretty easy win, and, also, they just kept sort of and I felt this sort of, I wanna help you, I wanna be polite about this and offer suggestions, but at the end of the day, like, I'm having to expend energy away from my daughter for this man who I don't think is going to change if he is saying those things in a NICU patient line.
Yeah, but so
And the weird thing also, his grandson was literally in the room next to us.
Oh my
So
gosh.
for the next 12 hours, I had to hear this man's voice. And again, the second after it happened, I was like, my priority and focus is on tests. Like, that's crazy. But it's just a weird, like, those things, I think, become those things happen to same-sex couples, and you kind of get put in positions of how do I deal with this, and how do I sorry, what was my obligation to myself and my family, and what's my obligation to, like, changing this for people like me?
Well, and what's so interesting, and we hear a lot on this podcast in a ton of different issues, right? Is this like lack of empathy for another human being's story or what they're going through. Like maybe it's abortion, maybe it's immigration, whatever it is like it is so easy to like make a offhand comment like this guy did
Right.
and not even think about the human story and not even think about what another person is going through. And like how do we combat that? How do we break through when people are feeling like he probably thinks he did nothing wrong, and like you said, Hig, it's like, we cannot change the hearts and minds of everyone, but, like, how can we bring a little bit more understanding and empathy so people can just live their lives?
Absolutely.
And it's also, I think that, and this has probably come up on this also, that people get a pass so much because, like, oh, they're stressed or there's this situation. Like, there's a difference between acting stressed and then just, you don't need to bring that into somebody's life in a hateful way. And Sarah's right. Like, this guy probably didn't think about it again, but like, and he was probably going through something really intense too. Like, that doesn't matter in that situation. It doesn't matter when you are, bigoted towards another person. Like, your stress does not equate it being okay to treat somebody else differently.
It makes the world feel a lot bigger and scarier when things like that happen, especially in those environments, but
I feel, Sarah, what you said about a lack of empathy, I guess I've always sort of seen it, and this is generally how I move through the world, is encouraging curiosity in people, and a general sense of trust that most people out there are kind of trying to do the right thing, and if we can frame our questions to the world more as like, "Oh, why is it like this?" Or "How could it be different?" And just, like, leading with curiosity, I feel like always gets us to a better place rather than leading with, defensiveness or yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for talking about parenting with us and your journey. It is so meaningful, and I have never heard a lot of stuff explained like that before. And so I know that it at least changed the way that like I can walk into a situation and hopefully make somebody feel more inclusive.
Yeah.
Switching gears a little bit, we're going to go into careers, balance, and identity. You both have very high profile careers. You have a toddler. You are very successful in your own rights, and your worlds demand so much from acting, athletics, advocacy. How do you balance it all with parenting?
I mean, realistically, I feel like I need to say this like very explicitly because I've listened to a lot of sort of, successful independent people talk about their busy lives and not mention all the help they have. And like truly, we have an incredible woman who's part of our life named Patricia, who I've actually known for 15 years. My closest friend here in Los Angeles raised her son, and she was on her own. She was with Patricia was stayed with him for 18 years, and literally he went to college. And then she was like, I don't need Patricia anymore. And then Patricia came into our lives. So just to say,
Biggest lesson.
a huge part of the balance of it all is to be able to be in a position to have somebody like Patricia as part of our daily lives. Good quality care for your child. Oof, man, talk about like changing outcomes.
Right.
Someone that laughs with them, plays with them, makes social plans with them. And I've watched the scale of different sort of nannies out there, and boy, are we lucky to have Patricia. So just right off the bat, because we do work a lot. I was away filming for almost a month, not too recently. And that's tough. That's really tough when you go away and you come back and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm hearing all these new things.
Yeah.
So it is hard. And I think another part of the balance is also keeping something sacred. And that is like making this decision in our lives to keep, you know, to keep Tess away as much as possible from our busy, sometimes public lives. I need to protect her from that kind of thing. She needs to make her choice. It's funny, talk about like choices. This is a little off topic, so forgive me, I'm wandering here. Tess is getting baptized coming up recently. And because we've waited so long, we're actually at the position
Well,
where,
there's a reason. We wanted
well, there's a reason.
the church is being renovated. We wanted the nice, like fresh, we got the sort of someone the pastor said you guys could be part of the first baptism in the new renovated church, and we're like, wow, I mean, fist my arm. Like, that's good. Let's do this right.
Get the nice photo op.
Yeah.
But it's like a funny thing, and like we're very much in the conversation about like what does all this stuff mean, as far as a religious, and that's another conversation. But the cool thing is Tess is probably going to be old enough that the question will not be asked to us, do you desire Tess to be baptized? It'll be asked to her, do you desire to be baptized? And whether or not she really knows what that means is a different question. But I love the idea that she can say yes, so like just thinking about like the balance is like trying to give our lives and give Tess as many opportunities to sort of choose as possible. Yeah, I don't know. As much as you can for a year-old, or at least start to think about that constantly.
We have a Patricia as well. Literally, Patty is our nanny, and
Yeah, let's go. Patty's rule the world.
Patty's they do rule the world. My camera has kind of paused, but I hope that my audio is still going. She is incredible. We would just be lost without her. Our daughter would be lost without her. We talk about how critical that is, and even having somebody on this podcast who is a caretaker, and the like interesting balance that is if somebody does have a child and they're putting that child in daycare and then going to take care of another person's child, just like I'm how intricate that can get.
Patty, our Patty, also has a son that she raised who is queer as well. So I think that's an interesting bond. And he's older now. I think he's in his 30s. But I feel also lucky to have that part of our connection with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So has parenthood change the way that you approach your work or what roles you choose for you, Luke, or projects you pursue, Hig? Like, how has parenthood kind of put life into perspective or projects into perspective that maybe you would pursue now that you wouldn't have before Tess?
Yeah, I mean, just to being fully honest, like I'm currently unemployed, and graduated from my MBA program in mid-May. But when Tess was born, I was really drinking from the fire hose. I actually was at orientation in Philadelphia um at Wharton when Tess was her due date was the last day of orientation, and I was also a director agent at Wasserman, managing 12 athletes plus 3 or 4 consulting projects. And these athletes were kind of already my children in a lot of ways, managing their lives and their parents and everything above. So when Tess was born, having, and this is another really interesting conversation, I didn't go on paternity leave, right? Because I was managing these athletes at the very top on my own. And there was also a part of me that felt, I'm the only openly gay man. There was one other close friend of mine, much older, but not a parent. I felt this really hard way of how do I approach my boss and talk about like, um, I just had a kid and I just started my MBA program, which I almost got sort of kicked out of and moved to the next year because I was falling behind because we were in the NICU for so long. And um, just being like, if I could go back, I not asking for paternity leave or this ability to like be in the moment and kind of make that plan for myself of like, oh my gosh, you just had a kid. Like your life is never going to be the same. What, like, you need to, in order to be the best baller possible, you need to like preserve yourself and show up as the best person possible. And I, I don't have regrets, but I would have done it a little bit differently of not being afraid to say, I just had a kid, which, I worked at a large company where a lot of them didn't know that I was, a gay man, let alone having a kid. So it was this fear of like exposing myself in that way and being not the tough agent that I wanted to be, or, be the hard worker I was really trying to be. So that was a learning moment for me, because what I have learned since then is at the end of the day, the world will keep turning regardless of if you show up and be the best worker, professional that you possibly can be. But the world, your kids' world and your family's world really is so much more dependent on how you are showing up as a person, and that needs to be prioritized. So I like to say I've never really. This has probably been the biggest like per- garnering that perspective, and you guys know this. Like, it's not a linear process. I'm nowhere close to feeling like that I figured it out, but like, man, it really puts that into thought of like, there's not a lot else that matters more than this kid and this family, and you'll be fine. The rest of the things will sort into that the way they're supposed to, but you got to take care of yourself first and your kid.
Yeah, for me, jobs that take me away from the family, that's tough, It really is. Sometimes you need the money, sometimes you gotta go away, but having recently gone away for a month, I was like, "Oh, that's too long." So, I think I have to start building into my contract or asking or begging, depending on the scale of the movie, "You gotta fly me home 1 weekend," or "You gotta fly me home 2 weekends," stuff like that, or "You're gonna put me up in a house where I can bring my whole family." So, those are, like, logistical things. I think, like, more sort of holistically, I think about the number of times I've played a dad in my career, like, literally.
Or like had fake kids on set, which is
Yeah, like, so many fake I've had so many children.
yeah.
I've been married many times. This is a funny thing about being an actor in general. I've also held many guns, and these funny things that you get to do as an actor that you don't always really think about, and especially as it comes to being a kid. My first job as a series regular was this FX series where I played a soldier in Iraq, and I had, like, a wife and, like, a 6-year-old. I was, like, 25. when I was filming that show. And I think, like, I had no idea what that felt like. I had so
Yeah.
this is one of the beautiful privileges of being an actor, is you get to ask yourself the question as much as possible. What is this going to feel like? What is this going to feel like, having never experienced it? But I certainly can say, even in my current show, Platonic, I filmed the first season with no children. And the second season, I mean, obviously I had kids in both seasons, but the second season I had become a father.
Yeah.
My relationship to those pretend children on the set changed so much.
That's actually that was so fascinating to
Yeah.
see.
I felt like more comfortable around them. I felt like I know how to talk to them. I kind of understood where they were in their sort of scale and growth. So
And I was like, invite them over, or like we should get to know them. And Luke's like, no, they're like they have school to go to. Like they're not our real, like their parents are chaperone
well,
mothers.
and it's also a funny thing too, because they're also professional actors. They just happen to be little kids, you know? So like that is a funny balance. But yeah, that has definitely changed since becoming a parent, understanding more deeply what it means.
Yeah. And I think that is a really interesting and perfect segue into obviously the movies and TV shows are very different than real life, as you know very well. So, as we head into the holiday season, the myth of the perfect holiday, the myth of the perfect Christmas versus the mess and the magic of real life, right? I think both those things can be true at the same time. So, Luke, you've starred in some of the most iconic Hallmark Christmas movies of all time. How does your real life, for better or for worse, right, like stack up against the on-screen version that so many people love watching this time of year?
Oh, movies.
You could rattle off like maybe the titles or like the professions of some of these
Oh, well,
Christmas characters. It's a good sort of,
I've been a Christmas tree farmer
yeah.
who's also a lawyer. I've been a fireman.
You own the toy
I owned a
in
no, I owned a
City.
I owned a toy, like, we're huge, like,
Like I think the FAO Schwartz.
yeah, no, bigger.
Oh.
Like, I was on, like, the Norfolk. Yes. I have been,
You were just recently the new Christmas movie. You were a I find this is like whenever you get to roll my like first thing is like give me the background. What's your name? What's the profession? What was it? What's the weird little angle that's getting you in these situations? You were a tech. You were the
yes,
son of a big tech guy,
yes.
and you were going to invest in this little village that it's filmed in Canada.
In Vermont, a quaint little town in Vermont.
Well, it was Douglas was the name of the town. Douglas, because they had a Douglas fir in the middle of town. And everybody, look out for this Christmas movie. It's a goodie. But it was funny because it was Plum Technology. Not th There's another technology company, Visible, right?
Mhm.
So I was working for Plum Technology that wanted to move their headquarters to Douglas. Anyway, I have no idea what.
Cut down the town Christmas.
And I went, well, it wasn't just the Christmas tree. Douglas was the whole town.
Yeah.
I mean, it was everything happens under that tree. So yeah, okay, the reality versus I'll tell you about my Christmas this year, and you can tell me if this would make a good Hallmark movie or not. My mother's coming here. My mother and I and two dogs are driving from Los Angeles to Steamboat Springs, Colorado. So me and my mom are going on a 2-day road trip with two mutts, and Hig is gonna fly on the airplane with Tess. So I don't know what is more of a Hallmark movie, the dad traveling with the baby or the partner traveling with mom and two dogs for 2 days.
Depends if you gamble in Vegas.
Maybe
In a way.
maybe it's like right. Maybe it's like a two-story kind of situation. We kind of cut between the two of them, and then we all the problem with Hallmark movies, and this is where it's not like real life, is there's always a romance that is underneath it. It's rarely, or I don't think ever in Hallmark movies do we see a couple that is the thing that is so appealing about Hallmark movies is the romance. So I guess the kiss.
The kiss. It's
That was so right after I had Shy, Hot Frosty came out. It was, like, the day later, and I was in, like, such a weird daze, and very confused about what was happening and trying to watch Hot Frosty, and I was like, "What is going on?" Like
How was Hot Frosty? Because this was also Netflix. Because Netflix decided that they could do Christmas movies and make them horny, which Hallmark does not do, and I think Hallmark is correct, 'cause Hot Frosty was confusing. It was confusing.
I couldn't get through it, Tanya. Because it was kind of a mind fuck for me because the guy who was the hot Frosty
He was a snowman with ass, just like the
and
wasn't Schitt's Creek.
yes, I've just had this, like, image in my mind of his character in Schitt's Creek, and he was like I loved his character in Schitt's Creek, and then he comes on to Hot Frosty, and, like, you can't look at anything except his abs
body.
because they don't look real.
Well, yeah. It was it was so weird, and, like, you're right, they tried to make it sexy, which was really weird just watching, like, this whole town be so lusting after this stranger with amnesia, and then at the end, like, he dies because he melts and nobody cares. He, like, dies in police custody, and people were like, "Mm."
Horrible.
Like, and then he comes to life. It was chaos.
So this is so interesting. Like I actually really appreciate that you guys are doing this because I could talk a lot like about the Hallmark really started the Christmas movie tradition. And then all these other streamers have been trying to figure out what their version of the Christmas streamer is. I did a Christmas uh movie for Netflix called Single All the Way, which actually I think it turned out well. There was no sort of fantasy component to it, like the Frosty the Snowman.
I had to see your scheme.
That's where I was a ski instructor, hilariously enough. Yeah, I did not wear my ski helmet properly. But it's funny,
Spectacle gap.
I feel like I have to say the year before Hot Frost, or maybe it was the same year, I did one called Catch Me If You Claus, where I was Santa Claus. And in Hallmark, we don't really show as much skin as Hot Frosty, but it was a similar kind of idea, is that Santa Claus is
You were just Santa Claus. You were Santa's son.
I was Santa's son. So just like regular Santa Claus with everybody, you know. Yeah.
The one thing that is like actually, and I can say this from, like, partner's perspective, and something you always remember when you do these films is like these movies make a lot of people very happy, and like it actually, like, it's hard not to. I love watching them and being like it's hard not to feel like these are some of and if you look at the mass sort of audience, and Luke gets recognized for these Hallmark movies just as much as some of the other projects he does.
Oh, much more.
And it's truly these people coming up being like, your movies make me so happy. And like it's that time of year. And
Feel good. Like,
yeah, not a lot
yeah.
of people get to like be told that you make what you're putting out there is making them feel better and happy. Like
yeah,
Do you want to know my internal monologue? Every single time somebody stops me and says,
please.
yeah, this is so true, and this is probably indicative of my Canadianism. In the back of my head, while they're saying like, "Oh, I really like your movies," all I'm thinking is, "Oh, I'm somehow disappointing them in real life."
Oh,
Oh,
that is
no.
not
So
true.
sad.
All I think is I'm like, "Oh God, you probably liked me better on TV." So I always like try to be like, "Oh, thank you. That's very. What's your name?" And like try to be very nice to them.
Yeah.
I think that they probably look back and think, "Oh my god, that's the time that I met Luke," like, and tell all of their friends about it. Um, and I will say, as someone who's Jewish, I love the Hallmark movies. Just love them. They're so positive, it's just delightful, it sets the scene of it's always just such a cozy you know that you're gonna feel nice after watching one of those.
Do you put up a Christmas tree? Yeah. Are you a Jewish family that puts up a Christmas tree?
No, no, we don't. I only watch them on TV. They're we have gone back and forth if we will put up lights or not. We actually have some lights resounding from Halloween right now, so maybe we'll pass those off as Christmas lights.
Well, there has been talk, and I know they've had them before, but the Hallmark Hanukkah movie is definitely something that is often discussed at Hallmark. So
They've done some interesting things. If you need a consultant,
hey,
let me know.
Tanya's one thing I just wanna note because I think for this podcast and our our listeners everywhere, like, we talk a lot about reality TV and pop culture and, like, the things that don't have to do with politics and, like, going to Target and mindlessly going through the aisles because that is what we do sometimes just to bring ourselves joy. But in all seriousness, like, sometimes those are the things, especially now when the days can feel dark and we don't know what is happening next, on a national level. Like, those little things are so important, and if you can have just a little joy brought into your life, especially during the holiday season. I mean, a lot of people, not to get too dark, but, are going hungry because of the government shutdown and didn't have SNAP benefits. And so, like, the little things, we are so privileged and lucky to not be in that space, but there's millions and hundreds of thousands of families in the US that are. So, anyways, switching gears a little bit.
So, you have also a very important winter association in your life. So, are you during this time of year, are you more so, like, in the mindset of Olympic discipline, or do you get excited about the holiday season too? Or just, like, how do those 2 worlds play off of each other in your life?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's funny, like, living in California was, a big reason I wanted to come here was to get away from winter after that sort of defined me for a big part of my life, and also, most other places I would go, I would tap right into back, like, my ski network and people and friends that knew me for that reason and that identity. So, like, being in California has kind of given me the chance to, like, not be the skier or that sort of,
Although it's all anybody wants to talk to him about when they go like, "Oh yeah, you guys ever ski at
well,
Big
the
Bear? No, we should go skiing sometime at Big Bear. You probably go way faster down the hill than we would."
which I've done, and I've almost, like, also, like, seen people ski with people who are trying to, like, oof, like, not, I would say impress me, but, like, kind of, and, like, some of his friends I've gone with, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I am going to go to the hospital today with these people." Like, I tell you, I don't care, I'm not competitive about it anymore, I don't, like, I just wanna have fun. Um, I love Christmas. I think I missed so many, and Sarah knows this, like, my career as an athlete, I was gone. I mean, truly, like, I think I was for, like, the 6 years I was on the World Cup circuit, I think I was home for Christmas maybe twice. So, for me, like, I kind of just, like, I think in general, and the Christmas is a really good reminder of it just with, like, family and what it means, and especially having a kid now, like, and building traditions together and all that, like, um, the chance to sort of, like, disentangle sort of that chaotic mindset I had as an athlete where it was just really focused on one thing and I was trying to be faster, and ultimately, that's the big reason I also left the sport was I was just woke up and was like, "I have literally only focused on myself for 6 years, and what does this even mean? Like, who cares if I win this race tomorrow?" Like, in terms of the impact it's having, like, it's time to, like, really figure out what I'm supposed to be adding to the world, and, I don't know, I look forward to Christmas now as, like, as a normal heart, working person of saying, "Those are days off, let's go." Like, email is off, actually, phone is, like, upstairs in a different room, and we are not even engaging in that, like, that's a beautiful sort of, fantasy I have of the holidays.
That's lovely. And as a Coloradan, I can appreciate that even though I ski 0. Um, just, having those 2 different worlds. So we're going to switch to our last segment now for Make It Make Sense. Parenting in 2025, global chaos, and the absurdity of politics. So we're just going to ask a couple here. And Luke and Hig, do you feel like we're moving backward or forwards on family rights in this country?
I mean, objectively backwards
Yeah.
from our perspective. It's interesting. I'm sure you would find somebody saying the exact opposite, and but no, we're moving backwards. Yeah. I've been particularly paying attention to, globally, specifically at this point, but watching Italy just remove surrogacy for queer people as an opportunity. Um, I have no, that could happen here. Adoption rights could be removed for queer people. That could happen very easily. So that to me is a family.
Yeah.
That is family moving backwards.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's a time where you see the way people are even speaking about what it means to be a mother and what that role needs to look like and who these women need to be. You're seeing that from not just politicians. I'm seeing that in the athlete world, right? Like there is actually prizes. This is a crazy thing that's happening right now that it's like it's so deeply disturbing that, and Luke knows this about me, I can sometimes feel overwhelmed and like be indifferent and pull out and be apathetic of it all, which is probably like the worst thing for like a motor or citizen to do is just be like, I don't care anymore. This is too stressful. Can't think about it. But there's things in sports now where they are sort of there are organizations, people paying athletes to come out and speak out against people in the world that aren't what they want. So trans people in the sports world, certain policies that are favored towards women who have families, sort of unfair, sort of, you know, that are in their eyes unfair sort of things they see. So it is like that's the thing I'm most disturbed about is like how people, whether they are parents or not, man, woman, straight, gay, are telling us what they think the family should look like and what we should be as people. I think that's just like a really hard thing to grasp in this world we live in.
Yeah, and generally a concern over who gets to decide what a family looks like.
It's a tough time out there, and it's hard to well, first of all, Haig, I wanna appreciate what you said because it is easy to feel apathetic. Both Tanya and I are political consultants at very high levels, and we do this for a living, and I feel apathetic sometimes, most times, where I'm like, "Is what I'm doing even doing anything?" Um, so as parents, as people kind of moving through the world and the chaos, like, what gives you hope, especially raising a child and a daughter?
You know, I've talked about this. I think the one of the most resounding things that came to me immediately after I came out and started sort of reconciling and going back, working back in the sports world and reconciling some of the relationships I had and was, you know, big reason I continue working in sports is I feel like I have the opportunity to go back and make it a better place for people like myself and kids, kids who are going to be like me that needed it to be a little bit different. But like what gives me hope is I actually I think as an apathetic person, I can also be someone who can be easy to, I guess, walk away from certain people or conversations if they're not aligned with me. And that's a fear mechanism I developed from a young age of saying, I'm fearful of this person not understanding me or accepting me. It's going to be easy for me to just walk away and say, they're wrong, I am right. But what I learned truly coming out, and I could count on like, of course, there were people who had opinions about it. Most of those people I don't even know, and it was a way of attention seeking or something. But I realized I did not give the benefit of the doubt to the people around me, like for them being as empathetic and caring and understanding as they actually are. Like I just played this narrative in my head that because I was wrong, because I wasn't, or because I was different, I'm not going to be accepted. And it's easier to sort of, again, put that binary of like, they're in that category, I'm in this category. It's easy for me just to sort of hide away and sort of cut that part out of my life. And truly, I want to go about the world now thinking people are better than I'm giving. Most people are good until they prove they are not. And you have to I think especially with a kid, you have to be a person that shows them it's that because if you don't have hope for their future or the world they're going to live in.
I have a cheeky answer,
Cheeky.
but I'm going to back it up. What gives me hope is Taylor Swift. And I'm only saying that because of this.
because of your wish list.
We didn't tell him to say this, everyone.
Well, anybody that knows me, really, like, Luke doesn't listen to Taylor Swift, and you know what? Now you do. I do a little bit now, but I don't really. But like, I'm remembering specifically when the president of the United States tweeted out Cassidy. It was funny. I was sitting beside Cassidy. This is Higgs' twin sister, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, Donald Trump just tweeted. Is it just me, or is Taylor Swift not hot anymore?" And I remember being Cassidy. That's not real. And then I looked up. I was like, "Oh my God." The president of the United States just insulted a girl on the way she looks. What is actually going on in the world? But then she went on to quietly and firmly decide who she was going to support politically. And she said it. She got married or engaged. She put out an album that is crushing both as a financial success and a creative success. And she kept on going despite the insanity of a president that said you're not hot. So that gives me hope, is that like an empowered young woman can like crush despite the force that is just cruel, like straight up just cruel.
That's an amazing answer and very serious and just great. I also want to think about, like, what if Abraham Lincoln had ever said that, like, somebody wasn't hot? That would be just
Well, Sarah doesn't know this about me, but I am actually the Canadian preeminent expert on the American Civil War. I'm actually weirdly obsessed with Abraham Lincoln and all.
I didn't know that.
love Abraham Lincoln.
I guarantee Abraham said some strange things because he was the master of the house. Like he got into all kinds of trouble about all the deals that he made when he was running and the debates and stuff like that. So
Hot take, hot tea right here.
no. And like he was also like a man of deep integrity, I believe. But this idea that like you just say everything out loud as it comes to your head is a unique problem of our generation, and the time that we're living in. And I think particularly for politicians, so much of the political journey now is, well, I said this, but now I've changed because it's all recorded. I think Abraham Lincoln certainly said things, but no one could really call him to account because it didn't have a digital footprint. So I think politicians moving forward, maybe unfortunately, have to get really, really clear really early on in their political careers, or else their entire candidacy becomes about trying to walk back the things that they once said at a fundraiser in Nevada.
Or they just lean into it harder.
Yeah.
Or when they were like 20 and in college and posted some questionable photos online. Well, thank you both so much. I know we have gone way over our time and we didn't even get to half of our questions because we could clearly just speak for hours and hours and hours.
Please, sorry.
I know, we love it.
Don't apologize. It was great.
We love the hot takes. We love the banter. And we love the fact that you guys are so honest and real about parenting, about all the things. It's so important to hear your perspective. So we appreciate you. Any last words for Momarchy Nation before
Maybe we get this is a bad joke. Dadarchy?
Dadarchy? We can start it. We could start it.
We have to be splitter about it. There's a better.
Yeah.
Dedocracy? No. I don't. It's there. There's something.
Something there.
Oh, yes.
You know what? I actually really need your opinion on this, and we didn't get to talk much about me being Canadian, but what do you guys think of Katy Perry and Justin Trudeau? I mean,
Are we gonna get into that?
I'm just curious about like the takings from two. I mean,
She went to space.
well, she went to space.
Having a big year.
Yeah.
I talk about there's stuff on the other side, the Republican side that we talk about where I'm like, I don't really give a fuck what they do. It's kind of how I feel about Katy Perry and Trudeau, right? I'm like, if they found each other and they make each other happy, like their relationship is never going to affect my life. I guess I'm happy for them.
So I feel much more passionately about this
Whoa,
than Sarah
okay.
does, apparently.
Oh, I'm ready for this.
Wherein that I used to love Justin Trudeau at the time that he was, like, hot prime minister. And Katy Perry at one point was peak, and then both of them became pretty problematic, and now they've somehow found each other, and it's like they found each other falling out of grace, and I just never would have predicted, like, 10 years ago that
Uh-huh.
this is where they would be and, like, what we would think of them. Because now it's just like, ugh, that's so weird.
Okay, I have to say this because it's, I think, pertinent. So, Todd, you don't know this about me. You know I worked for Hillary Clinton in Iowa, was one of the first staff members. Katy Perry was a huge surrogate for Hillary, one of, like, the first pop stars, celebrities that kinda came out, did huge concerts for the Hillary campaign,
Wow.
and on the morning of, they've changed the name, it used to be the Jefferson Jackson dinner, the JJ. It's like a this huge thing in Iowa they do every presidential. I got a voicemail, I should see if I still have it, from Katy Perry at, like, 6 a.m. I mean, she had pre-recorded it being like, "Hello, wake up, welcome," blah, blah. It was like this whole, really ridiculous voicemail about like, "Thank you so much for all of your work you've done for Hillary," at, like, 6 a.m.
Wow.
Love that.
So that makes you go like, "Oh, I'm on board with her." Like, she did
I kind of, because she gave me so much hope at a time where I was, like, exhausted and just done for, but I should find that voicemail. I will send it around.
that. Yes, you should.
Luke, what are your feelings?
Well, it was very interesting being Canadian when Justin was, elected. It was, like, the same time, as Trump, and, like, I just remember so many of my American friends being like, "Oh my god, you guys have Justin, he's so great."
Well,
Overall,
he overlapped in the Obama years originally, right?
he did overlap, but then,
Those two were kind of the power couple.
yes, so there was, like, this thing, and then there was the famous meeting between Melania and Justin, and Canada had this reputation of, like, Justin Trudeau, and it's funny because you ask any Canadians how they felt about Justin Trudeau, and it was always a little more like, "Hmm, yep, mhm, yeah."
I mean, his dad is probably the one of the most legendary prime ministers
Yeah,
ever. Foundational.
foundational,
Mount Rushmore, Canada.
the Mount Rushmore of Canada, what would that be?
Ottawa and Escarpment.
The escarpment of Ottawa.
Yeah.
But, like, no, I think as Canadians, we always felt like there's something that doesn't quite add up about Justin. And then, like, the Katy Perry Justin of it all, to your point, it was, is, oh, that makes sense. Like that, and in a way, it sort of revealed that this is because I don't
Oh,
want
really?
it all kind of made sense, that it may be.
I bet they had fun. They like let their hair down and they're just like kind of weird together and like take that, like
And Justin was like a drama teacher who talk about problematic pictures from your past. Do you remember that scandal?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. That wasn't a cool costume. That was a racist costume.
It wasn't just once. Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, thank you for addressing this.
Very important things.
like a weird small connection to this. So our good friends, actually another same sex couple, Annie, her name is Annie Ulrich. I went to undergrad with her and her wife, Allie. Annie's a costume designer here in LA. Just so fascinating.
Oh my God.
I was really good friends with her sister who unfortunately passed away, but we did a lot of econ things. Just like a very amazing family. Now she works here and she does these really cool jobs. She works all over the place. She was literally the lead designer of the spacesuits for,
Oh.
and it was like this, like, she told a story. She's like, I didn't like, it's confidential, right? You get a project that gets on your desk and you're like, this is incredible. And she talked about like the certain fabrics that were requested and everything. And she's like, okay, like, what is happening? And then
She basically helped design the spacesuits that, like,
that they all wore.
yes, 6 very different bodied women wore into outer space
It's like,
together.
I mean, just like crazy to speak this, like,
Yeah. There's a lot of demands. Yeah. Well, then,
yeah.
On that note, Luke Higg, anything else to share with our listeners before we have to say goodbye?
no.
No.
You guys are wonderful. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Big success. Like, I think what you guys are talking about is definitely connecting with people. So thank you for having us on and bringing this perspective. So
Yes.
we hope your audience don't immediately turn it off when they hear our deep, rusty male voices.
I think that they'll be excited. Thank you both so much for being on here, for talking to us. I am sure that you have exceeded everyone's expectations from competitions and being on screen to talking here. So if you appreciated this episode, if you liked it, please make sure that you subscribe, like this, go onto our Instagram at Momarchy Podcast. Sarah, am I forgetting anything here for closeout?
We have a newsletter, everyone. Small but mighty following.
Guys, Substack,
Oh, I love Substack.
We are on Substack.
find us. Momarchy Podcast. I'll know when you follow us because we have a few people. But yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. So nice to talk.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.